Oops, wrong franchise. Shazam! There we go. I already know it's gonna be a pain in the ass to have to edit that together. And welcome to my safe game, and everybody, thank you guys so much for clicking on this video and joining me for another review here on the Black Gay Comic Geek channel. If this is your first time checking me out, hey, how's it going? My name is Michael. I call myself the Black Gay Comic Geek, and I always say the things that I love to talk about on my channel has blood, sex, gore, and magic, or any variation of the four. So I like to talk about superheroes, I like to talk about video games, I like to talk about comic books, I like to talk about action movies, I like to talk about sci-fi movies, I like to talk about horror movies, I like to talk about fantasy movies, I like to talk about all things in genre fandom. And I also like to talk about black representation and queer representation. So if that's something that you're interested in, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, become one of my safe gay veneers. But whether it's your first time, second time, third time, millionth time, do me a favor, watch this video to the end for the watch time. Hit the like button to let YouTube know that this video is worth getting out there to hit, so other people can see the video, other people can get it on my channel. Watch, like, share, comment, interact on this video for the all gay rhythm. So if you were not aware, because I did release my straight out of the theater reactions, I got to go to the world premiere of Black Adam last week. I did get to see the movie. And obviously the movie's not out yet for everybody, so this is going to be a non-spoiler review for Black Adam. The full review embargo is now lifted, so I'm able to talk about it a little bit more. And so yeah, let's get into Black Adam. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get on the black carpet. I dressed up to take pictures and everything, and I was like, dang, I showed my wristband. They were like, nah, that's not good enough to get on the carpet. You could only see the movie. I'm just like, damn. But anyway, let's talk about Black Adam, non-spoilers. But this movie tells the story of, in ancient Kahndaq, Teth Adam was bestowed the almighty powers of the gods. After using these powers for vengeance, he was imprisoned, becoming Black Adam. Nearly 5,000 years have passed, and Black Adam has gone from man to myth to legend. Now free, his unique form of justice, born out of rage, is challenged by modern-day heroes who form the Justice Society: Hawkman, Dr. Fate, Atom Smasher, and Cyclone. And yeah, this was a movie almost 10 plus years in the making. I remember they've been talking about The Rock playing Black Adam for so long. And now we finally, after all this time, have the movie coming out. Now, without being fully rated R, this movie is brutal. Like, The Rock in this movie as Black Adam is dropping bodies. And I'm actually really happy about that, because one of my biggest concerns and fears regarding The Rock playing Black Adam is, for the most part, Black Adam is a villain. He is the main antagonist of Shazam, Billy Batson. He's also fought other members of the Justice League. And for the most part, throughout The Rock's career, he's never really played a villain in any of his movies. He's always wanted to be a likable character, a likable hero, even in something like The Scorpion King, which I didn't see The Scorpion King, but I do know, like, at the end of the day, he wasn't a villain in that movie, despite kinda being the villain in The Mummy. What was it? The Mummy Returns or the first Mummy? I don't remember which Mummy movie it was. But despite that, like, we know The Rock has the potential, Dwayne Johnson has the potential to be a villain. And for those OG WWE, back when it was WWF, Attitude Era fans, when The Rock first premiered, a part of the We Are the Nation of Domination, and The Rock was an asshole. Like, people hated The Rock back then when they booed him hard, and myself included, back in those old WWE days before he became the popular people's champion superstar that he ended up becoming. But that didn't necessarily translate in the movies. He was always the likable character, the person that you rooted for. But in this movie, like I said, his Black Adam is brutal. He is dropping bodies, and I really enjoyed that and seeing that side of The Rock. And I want to see him play more villains. Now, with that said, like, I guess villain might be a little too strong of a word, because he's not, like, when I say villain, he's not the Joker. He's not Scarecrow. He's not Green Goblin. He's more, I don't even want to say of an anti-hero, but yeah, I guess he's more of an anti-hero in this movie. And Actually, let me backtrack. So I'll get into that later because I'm like, it kind of makes me question what they're gonna go or what they're gonna do with Black Adam going forward. But jumping into the movie, I will say like the first half hour, first half hour of this movie was not good. I'm gonna just come out and say it right out the bat. Like, it was very slow. It was honestly boring. Like, the first half hour of this movie, it was nothing but exposition on exposition on exposition on exposition. And it wasn't even like fun exposition. Obviously, every movie has exposition, but it's all about the execution. And for the majority of that first half hour of the movie, it was just them showing things and then a narrator explaining what happened, as opposed to you actually building relationships with the character. Like, give me the exposition through the characters that you're introducing, as opposed to just straight on narration. And that's what the first half hour of this movie was. It was just narration for a half hour of the movie. Now, with that said, the movie looked great. The scenes in Conduct look incredible, but it's just, I was just like, oh man, this movie's gonna be bad. Like, soon as it started and the way it started, and then like 10 minutes in, 20 minutes in, I was like, is this the movie? Like, what is this? Now, with that said, like, once you started getting to the second half, once you started to get and got introduced to the Justice Society, Hawkman, played by the sexy Aldous Hodge, he was actually my second choice to play T'Challa if they were to recast him. Like, two of my choices to play T'Challa ended up getting other roles. Like, my first choice was Jonathan Majors from Lovecraft Country, and then also now he's Kang the Conqueror in Ant-Man. He was my first choice to replace Chadwick, and then Aldous Hodge was my second choice, and then Jonathan got Kang and Aldous got Hawkman. But anyway, you got Aldous Hodge as Hawkman, Carter Hall, Noah Centineo as Atom Smasher, Quintessa Swindle as Cyclone, and then Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate. And the four of them made up the Justice Society. And their introduction in the movie is what started to make the movie more interesting. Their combative relationship that I even read in the synopsis of the movie with Black Adam, and seeing these characters interact with each other is what made the movie more interesting. And a lot of that started to happen well after the first half hour of the movie. Now, it's not to say like action and everything is what made the movie interesting. Like, I've talked about a lot of times on a lot of different reviews that if there are characters in this movie that I enjoy and the writing and things, I can just see characters just sitting and talking to each other the entire time, and I will enjoy it. Like, I think about Hawkeye, the interactions between Yelena and Kate Bishop. I was like, if the entire episode is just them sitting talking to each other, I would be here for it. So it's not even to say that I needed action in this movie, but it's like, no, like, and speaking of that, like, this is also a criticism, like, as much as I enjoyed seeing the Justice Society interact with Black Adam, you don't really get to learn much about the characters of the Justice Society. Carter Hall, Aldous Hodge was in the movie the entire time, but for the most part, you don't really know anything about his character. Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate was in this movie the entire time. You don't really learn anything about Dr. Fate. Quintessa Swindle, who played Cyclone, she was in this movie the whole Justice Society. I could go down the list. They were in the movie the whole time, but you don't really learn anything about those characters. And this is actually my first time seeing Noah Centineo in anything. I've seen his name floating around a lot, and I know he's been in a couple Netflix movies, but these are movies that I've never seen. I think one of them is called To All the Boys I've Loved Before, and they got a sequel, and I've seen a lot of people talking about that movie, especially like on like the teen girl websites, and I know he is a star in that movie. So I've seen his name a lot, but I've never actually seen him before. But like, I've always thought he was cute, especially when he got cast as Atom Smasher, and then he released his like workout photos. And I was like, ooh, like, he could smash my atoms. But going back to what I was saying about, I wish they built up more of these characters. Like, you don't really get to learn, like I said, you don't really get to learn anything about him, but like, it just feels like these characters within the Justice Society, they were simply there to fill a specific role. It almost kind of feels like a quota. So for example, I don't know much about the Atom Smasher character in the comics. I mentioned this before. I know way more about Marvel than I do DC, mostly because of the Marvel Unlimited app that I do have. And so I read, Marvel comics from my phone. And DC does have a DC Infinite app, but it's just not as good. And it's not as functional. The interface isn't as good. But with that said, the character of Atom Smasher, again, I don't know if maybe he came first or how his personality is in the comics. But in this particular movie, they have him fulfilling basically like a Deadpool-esque role. He's the comedian. He's the funny character. And like I said, in many ways, even in the way his costume and the mask and the eyes, like he's fulfilling the Deadpool role. Now, also with that, I have to address this because I know there are going to be some comparisons because you do have Pierce Brosnan in this movie playing Dr. Fate. And a lot of the magic and things that he does in this movie will remind you of Doctor Strange. Like there's even a part where it kind of seems like he throws people into the mirror dimension. Now that might have been the way they filmed it, at least might have been Doctor Strange-esque inspired. But I have to say, Dr. Fate came way before Doctor Strange. As a matter of fact, it was Dr. Fate that inspired Marvel to create Doctor Strange. Now, with that said, they definitely dumbed down and toned down Dr. Fate's power in this movie. Like, Dr. Fate could easily take out Doctor Strange in any fight. Like, Doctor Fate is one of the most powerful beings in the entire DC universe. So, like, him alone could take out basically anybody in this movie. But it's a Black Adam movie, not a Dr. Fate movie, so that's not what ends up happening. And a part of me kind of questions, like, why even put Dr. Fate in this movie in the first place if you're going to tone him down so much? Like, if anybody, put a lesser-known magic. If you wanted a magic user, get a lesser-known magic user in this movie. Madame Xanadu, John Constantine. Even though John Constantine is pretty powerful too. Definitely not Zatanna, because Zatanna also stomps as well. Which, side note really quick, I just saw an article recently that the Zatanna HBO Max series has been canceled. And that leaves me because I was so excited for Zatanna to get some respect put on her name. Like, again, Zatanna is dumb powerful. And I was excited to finally get a Zatanna HBO Max series, and now it's canceled among all the other things that HBO Max and Warner Brothers are canceling with DC. And I think honestly that's probably my biggest problem with the movie. I still liked it. On the surface, this movie was fun, but at the end of the day, there was no nutritional value with it. Like, I think I made this analogy before with a movie. I don't remember what movie it was, but it was a while ago, where it's like, I love eating Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Cinnamon Toast Crunch tastes awesome. It's great. It's like a nice snacky breakfast cereal, but at the end of the day, there's no nutrition. You're still going to be hungry after you eat Cinnamon Toast Crunch, despite all fulfilling your, satisfying your sweet tooth. And so, yeah, like I was saying, with this movie satisfying your sweet tooth, the action in this movie was fun. Anytime there was an action sequence in this movie, it was great. I enjoyed the action. Going back to The Rock being brutal, like blood, sex, gore, and magic, the things I love to talk about in my fantasy. Like, granted, this movie wasn't really bloody, it wasn't gory, it's still PG-13, but it was still bodies being dropped. But the thing that I wish this movie injected a little bit more, maybe they could have did that if they had a slightly longer runtime. I wish we got to see more relationship building and character building with the character of Black Adam. And then his relationship with in the past before he became Black Adam, and juxtaposing it with a relationship that he's building with a certain character in the present. And they could have did a lot of parallels, but instead they kind of left a lot of the stuff of like his past as like this big secret reveal that ultimately didn't really have enough weight for me, because I'm just like, no, you could have used that to build more of the relationship between these characters, to inform these two characters, to explain the motivation of these characters even more, as opposed to like you having to do a lot of the guesswork. And I know people that haven't seen the movie don't really know what I'm talking about, but I think once you see the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. Like, there's a relationship that Black Adam has in the past with a certain someone, and it parallels to a relationship that he develops in the present. And it's supposed to inform the decisions that he makes in the present, to say, well, I guess he's not really a bad guy. He's more of an anti-hero, but he's still not all bad. But I wish they built that up more. Also, the main villain for this movie, played by Marin Kanzari. People know him as Jafar in the Aladdin movie. He was also in the movie with Charlize Theron. He played one half of the gay couple, the immortal gay couple on Netflix called Old Guard. The villain was pretty weak. The villain was forgettable. And honestly, it's like, it feels kind of weird saying that for a DC movie, because one thing I always say that DC has over Marvel is their villains are way stronger. And honestly, most of them are Batman's villains, but not even just Batman's villains. Like you got Lex Luthor, Reverse Flash, Darkseid, Sinestro, etc., etc. And also, there was another moment that really took me out of the movie with regards to the score, where there's this big action sequence that was happening, and then they started playing the Kanye West song, "No One Man Should Have All That Power." I was like, this does not fit at all. Like, they just wanted to throw a popular song that literally, like, it literally fits in terms of like the narrative of the song. Like, no one man should have all. Black Adam is stupid powerful, but at the same time, it's like, with regard to everything else that was happening in the movie and then the rest of the score, like, it just really felt out of place. Like, I even leaned over because you guys, again, if you saw my straight out of the theater reactions, I was sitting next to Ron when that happened, and like we leaned over, it was like, this song does not fit like at all. And then he was like, yeah, maybe if this was like 2007, this song would work, but not in 2022. So yeah, that song didn't work at all. But ultimately, like, even though it sounds like I'm complaining about the movie, it was still a fun, like, popcorn flick. Like I said, it felt like I was eating Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Cinnamon Toast Crunch tastes good. You're enjoying it while you're eating it, especially after, you know, you let the cinnamon sit in the milk for a while, and then you slurp down that milk and just like, oh my God, I'm so sad. But then like 20 minutes later, you're like, I'm hungry again. And you need to eat something with like some protein and everything. So that's basically what the movie felt like. Now, with that said, I would still watch a sequel because I am excited about the potential of this franchise and the potential of these characters. Now, going back to something I said I would get back to that has me a little confused about the direction that they're going to go with Black Adam is because we already have a Shazam movie out. There are two Shazam movies out, played by Zachary Levi, who is playing Shazam. And like I said, the main antagonist for Shazam is Black Adam. However, you get to this movie, I mean, first we've seen two Shazam movies, and there's no Black Adam. And then also on top of that, Black Adam gets his powers from the same exact person and the same source that Shazam got his from. We actually even see Djimon Hounsou reprise his role as the Wizard. But just like in the comics, The Rock's Dwayne Johnson has to say the word Shazam in order to empower or disempower himself. So they're literally almost like two sides to the same coin. However, again, in this incarnation, he's not really a villain. And so I kind of wonder, are we not going to see an interaction between Shazam and Black Adam? And if we do see an interaction with the two of them, are they going to fight? Because like I said, he's not really a villain in this movie. So what would even be the conflict? I guess we'll find out. Who knows? But with that said, you definitely want to watch this movie towards the end. You definitely want to stay for the end, for the post-credit scene. I mean, I don't know why, but the movie hasn't even been out yet, and it's pretty much already been spoiled on the internet. And I'm not even just talking about some random trolls on the internet spoiling it. I'm talking about The Rock himself is basically coming out and saying what's in the post-credit scene. And I'm just like, I feel like y'all should wait till the movie comes out, but I guess maybe this is a selling point to go see the movie strictly for the post-credit scene. It almost kind of reminds me of Venom, Let There Be Carnage, where they were kind of like selling mostly the post-credit scene at the end where Venom ends up getting sucked into the MCU. Like, they were using that to sell the Venom movie, talking about the post-credit scene. But yeah, definitely stay for the post-credit scene. If you can guess what happens in the post-credit scene, more than likely you are correct, because again, it's already over the internet. So yes. But with that said, I am going to give Black Adam, I would say it's a high breaking even. I had fun with it. But the question is, after you've seen Black Adam, what did you think about Black Adam? Did you like it more than I did? Did you dislike it more than I did? Or whatever? Let me know all of your thoughts. Hopefully you made it to the end of this video. Again, watch, like, share, comment, interact on this video for the all gay rhythm. If this is one of your first time checking out one of my videos, please check out the other videos on my channel. If you like what you see, please subscribe for more and hit that bell notification button so you're alerted every single time I post a new video. And tell your friends, families, and neighbors about my channel to help me continue to grow. And as always, I will catch you guys next time.